welcome to Vibe and Chill podcast. Um, we have Erin here. We're doing
Hey.
an interview with her today.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sorry if this doesn't sound as good as yours,
No, it's
but
okay. You do it your own
like,
way.
yeah. So, why don't we start off by you kind of explaining, like yourself a little bit?
Well, my name is Erin. My podcast on here is called Balance Creation, and it's also linked to my YouTube channel on YouTube, obviously, Balance Creation. And I also have two other YouTube channels, a vlog and art channel, which I usually link on my channel or my videos on Balance Creation, so you can go check those out. I'm an artist. I am a Sunday school teacher. I'm a YouTuber. And overall, I am very obsessed with Disney. That has been my inspiration for art for a very, very long time. And yeah, I love Disney. I've always loved it since I was a kid. And one fun fact about John and I is that we went to elementary school and middle school together, which was very interesting. And then we just kind of lost connections when I went to junior high and high school, because I went from my town school to a technical high school, which was a big change. And then just life happened and all that. But John and I have known each other for years, pretty much on and off, obviously, because we lost connection for a while. But it was great reconnecting, and didn't realize he was doing a podcast too. And here we are, pretty much. But yeah, that's a little bit about me.
All right. So the first question, how long have you been doing YouTube/podcast?
So YouTube. So I've been doing YouTube ever since I got social media. We kind of talked about that. We did a podcast interview on my podcast, a little bit about social media, but ever since I kind of started social media around when I was like 12 years old, I've been really into YouTube. So I've been doing it for years on and off. Consistently, I would say Erin's life has started back in last summer. And then Star Sketch started this past year. And then my spirituality YouTube channel connected to this podcast, to my podcast, I should say, Balance Creation, literally started last month. So I've only just dabbled into the tarot card reading YouTube channel. But overall, I've been an active YouTube user for a very, very long time, for about 10 years, I would say. And then in terms of my podcast, I just started my podcast within the last month as well, basically around the same week or so that I started my Balance Creation YouTube channel. So very newbie at the podcast, but I've listened to a lot of them, so I know kind of what the flow is like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah.
I want to apologize in advance if you can hear kids in the background. I do not have a professional studio yet.
No, it's okay.
So, like, I tried having as much silence as possible, but, just because you're doing a podcast doesn't mean life doesn't go on.
Exactly. And I can barely hear them. So I feel like for the listeners, I feel like they'll barely hear them too. So I feel like you're okay.
Okay. Okay, so I guess I'll kind of answer the questions as well.
Yeah.
So I've been doing YouTube for, I want to say, close to, the Turtle Squad channel is close to a year now.
Nice.
And then I had a podcast channel on YouTube that I used to do. That was T Squad OG Podcast. If you guys really want to go back and look at some of my older podcasts.
Kind of reminisce.
Yeah. But I had that channel for about, I'd say, a couple months. I had that channel, and then Kappa happened.
Mm-hmm.
We talked a little bit about Kappa on your podcast.
Yeah.
Pretty much the Child Protection Act, and they make it really hard for you to create content.
Yeah.
Like, they censor you so much.
That's
So
true.
I moved over to Anchor, and I have loved the app ever since. Look at me, sounding like I'm a darn ad. um, but then the podcast, I think I've had it maybe, I want to say 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
At first, I had called it Turtle Squad OG Podcast because that's what it was on YouTube. But
Mm-hmm.
then I revamped the name, the logo, and pretty much everything else. And now,
Sorry
Vibe and
about that.
Chill.
My boyfriend called me, so I didn't hear what you said before, but you can continue.
so Vibe and Chill is now its own entity. It's
Mm-hmm.
no longer a proprietary Turtle Squad OG.
Yeah.
Like, so even though I'm not monetized on YouTube, I still
Mm-hmm.
treat it as a business. Like, me and my co-star on YouTube, we actually drew up a contract together that pretty much says that we split, like, any profits we get from it, we would split it 50-50.
Yeah.
And we put that in writing. And also, I have a contract that I drew up that pretty much it just states that he's of age to be accepting money if we
Yeah.
ever did make any money off it. They're not, the contracts are not notarized yet, but they're at least written up, and he signed them and I've signed them. So technically, by law, it's a legal written agreement.
Right. Huh.
You
Interesting.
couldn't see it, but I was doing the air quotes.
Yeah. I do that too sometimes, of just doing like hand motions while I'm doing a podcast, and I'm like, oh wait, I'm not on video. It's kind of a
Yeah.
hard adjustment sometimes, but I wanted to ask a quick question if we could take a break, because for some reason my boyfriend keeps calling me, so I don't know if it's like an emergency or something. But then we can come back on here. Is that okay? I apologize. I just don't know why he's calling me this much. So yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. I will message you when I'm ready and stuff. But yeah, it should save the recording too, so it's not like gonna, mess up anything.
Yeah.
So all right, awesome. I apologize in advance. I don't know why he's calling, but I will be back.
Okay, that's right.
Hey,
Hey, sorry about that.
it's
My
okay.
Wi-Fi disconnected.
It happens.
So, um, there's one question that I didn't write down that I want to know now. What type of camera do you use?
So I have two different cameras, and I actually have them right next to me, so I can just pull them over here to kind of talk about them. The main camera that I sometimes use for because I like to do thumbnail pictures sometimes, for my videos and stuff. So then they're all like professional. But the first camera that I have is this Nikon Coolpix L840 camera. Really good. I just wouldn't suggest it for video recording. It's a really good like taking pictures kind of camera, which is why I like to use it when I take pictures for my thumbnails and stuff like that. And if I were to ever do photography, I would use this camera 100%. It's just not good quality for like long videos or just like video recording in general, which is when I usually use my other camera for video recording. It's just a small little Canon PowerShot SD850 IS camera. It's very old. It's one of those older editions, but it works for me. I love the quality that it gives on the videos that I do. But definitely in the future, I definitely want to get a different Nikon camera that's better quality for videos, or just overall a bigger and better camera, because this one's like really tiny. But I do like it because when I do vlogs, I sometimes use my phone, or sometimes I'll use that camera because it's so portable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I use for my cameras and such. What do you use for your cameras? I know you have your phone and stuff, but I didn't know if you had any.
Yeah, I just use my phone. Like, everything's off my phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just had these
I
because my
can't really
mom liked to
afford a
take pictures
camera.
and stuff, but yeah, I just have these from when I was a kid. My mom always used to like take pictures and stuff, so I just basically use the ones that she used to use. And then the Coolpix one I actually got from my sister, because she started a YouTube channel, my sister, but it was, I forget the name of it, but she just didn't continue on with it, and she just never used the camera, so she let me have it, basically. But I like it for just photography based things. So
Yeah. Okay, and so I guess my favorite part of like YouTube or podcast is
mm-hmm.
like I said on your channel, like I just like the fact that you can talk about anything that you want.
Yeah.
As far as YouTube goes, I think creating, that's my biggest thing, is I like
Yeah.
creating a video project and seeing it after it's all done.
Yeah, I like that too.
Number 3. So, who and or what inspired you to start your YouTube and podcast?
For me, it was definitely it was probably just the YouTubers I was watching, just watching their videos and just seeing what they personally create. And I'm just like, I want to do that, but I want to do it in my own way to make it more unique. And what inspired me, it was just, the fact of creating, like what you were saying about creating videos and stuff. Like, create is my word. Like, my friend Alora, who's in the background, she painted me something that says create right on it, and I have it posted right in front of my desk downstairs. And then here in my room, my art studio, I like to call it, / like my boyfriend and I's hangout room, stuff like that. I have a canvas on one of the walls somewhere, yeah, near the door actually, that says create. So it's definitely like my word. And whenever I started YouTube and I started to, really get serious about it, create has always been kind of like the word I always go to when I'm feeling down. Like, basically anytime that I feel unmotivated, I'm like, my purpose to doing YouTube, to doing podcast, and creating or doing art, I should say, or just drawing, is to create. Basically, with my spirituality stuff, it's to create, create something for other people to be inspired by. With my art, it's to create something for maybe people to be inspired by, but also something for people to look at and to appreciate. And for my vlog channel, I'm creating my life story through my videos and stuff, so then people can see what I've been through, what things I do with my boyfriend, what things I do with my friends, what I do on my own, kind of a thing, and with my dogs and such. And then just create is just like my personal term for my personal life, is I just always think of create. Like, if I'm super unmotivated, create. What can I create right now? What can I create right now to create my dream reality? And so for me, usually it's drawing. I usually think of first for create, or create a clean environment. I will clean up my room and stuff, or just like my whole house in general. Create a list of things that I have to do that I've been procrastinating on. Create is just always my go-to word for everything, which is why I have those 2 canvas paintings, so that it motivates me to get the stuff done that I need to, because I know that they have a purpose, which in one word is create. So if you need a purpose word, I would honestly suggest to you, John, or just anybody that's listening, like having a word to just go to that honestly like motivates you whenever you just kind of feel down or uninspired or just feel like you don't want to do anything. Go to that word, like even just post it on your mirror that you always look in, or have it on your phone wallpaper, or like I did, like create a painting that has that word on it, because it motivates you. It's like that word always drives you to, you know, get the stuff done. So for me, most of the time, it helps me create artwork or create a YouTube channel. I mean, a video, I should say, or create a podcast interview or create a plan to get interviewers or get the resources I need for YouTube videos. So it's like my go-to word. So if you want to use create as your word, then go ahead. It's really great, but just try to figure out a word that helps you. That's what really inspired me to keep going, is to have the word create by my side, so that it motivates me to, you know, get the stuff done that I need to get done in terms of my YouTube and my podcast.
Yeah. For me, I think Logan Paul was like my biggest like inspiration,
Mm-hmm.
because like his main saying, like the one thing he always says to his fans, um, is do it different. And I just love that saying, do it different.
Yeah.
Because anybody could copy anybody else.
Yeah,
But when
that's
you
true.
come up with original content, that's when you start getting people to watch you. That's when you start getting people to listen to you. That's when
Mm-hmm.
you that's it's like you're showing people that you're not the same as everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd have to agree, of just like, you know, being your own unique person and just like, you know, doing the things that you want to do because it makes you happy.
And then also Jake Paul,
Mm-hmm.
one of his sayings I like is dab on them haters. So
Yeah.
pretty much he's saying to like screw what the haters say, you do you.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have to say that that phrase that you just said is definitely something that I go to also besides create, is you do you. Like I feel like that's really easy to say, especially when it comes to having a YouTube channel or a podcast. Just you do you and everything will work out at the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And for the what part, honestly, just listening to other people and just watching other people's vlogs, podcasts, whatever they may do,
Mm-hmm.
just watching them and realizing, hey, like I can do that. Like
Yeah.
it's not that difficult. Like yes, you're going to spend some money to start up,
Mm-hmm.
but in the long run, it's going to be for the better.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I'd have to agree with that.
Um, do you think we should be able to talk more about mental health on YouTube and many other platforms?
Yes, I 100% agree with that. We did actually talk about that in our episode that we did on my podcast, but I would 100% agree, just like on any social media platforms, just like having, you know, the conversation about it and not being afraid to speak your voice. Like even if you have to be anonymous about it, go ahead and do that, like under a different screen name, but I think that talking about it helps. Even if it's just talking about it, even though nothing is really coming of it, it's just talking about it helps get the discussion going, and just, you know, it might help somebody motivate themselves to do better. So in my opinion, yes, I feel like that they're that it's definitely something that should be more popular, is instead of like all of these worthless trends that go around, to actually talk about the real stuff, like physical health, mental health, well-being in general. Like, it doesn't just have to be mental health. I feel like physical health is also so important. And just like not being so negative about it or having a negative light on it. Like, for example, like I really don't like it when I scroll through Instagram and I just see all the models or just all the skinny people that show it off. And it's like, and then I scroll down a little bit further, but then I'm like, oh, here's like, you know, a thicker person showing off her body. I feel motivated by that. Like, maybe you feel motivated, like everyone gets motivated by different things. We're all unique in their own way. But I feel like talking about, you know, body image and mental health and physical health is really important, because I feel like just discussing about it instead of putting, like I was saying, a negative light on it is so much more beneficial. And in terms of like, but what I would have to say is, like, I kind of mentioned this a little bit on my podcast, but don't like just show off your scars or show off your, like, whatever the case that might trigger people. And like I said, we did talk about this on my podcast, but I feel like that, you know, if there's gonna be a trigger somewhere in there, like, imply that there's a trigger warning. Like, don't just like post it and then like somebody get affected by it, because you never know what people are going through, thinking about, or doing in their lives. Excuse me. So I just feel like if you do talk about it, if you do talk openly about it, and there is like something negative that people could get triggered by, I would 100% say make sure you put a trigger warning. Make sure you let your audience know, like, be aware that this is gonna happen in this, but don't like shine a negative light on it. Just say that it's your own personal story. So for me anyways, like on my YouTube channels and stuff, and on my social medias, I do share about my, you know, mental health struggles, and I do mental health updates and stuff like that. But now on like my social media besides YouTube, I mean, starting to be on YouTube as well, I don't share too much of it because I feel like I've been doing so well. So instead, I talk about it through my close friends in their own conversations, because I feel like that's better. Because I used to do so much talking about it before. But I'm just saying, for anyone that's listening to this, like, if you feel like you want to share your voice, because there's probably somebody else out there that's going through the same thing or something similar.
Yeah. So the last one is what's 3 major unspoken rules that you've learned with being in like this industry? I guess you can call it an industry.
Yeah. What do you mean by unspoken rules? Because like I haven't heard that term in forever, and I just kind of forget what that means.
Like there's rules like careful when you talk about politics, or careful when you talk about religion. Like, what are some things that you've learned over the time that you've had your YouTube channel and your podcast of like what to talk about and what not to talk about?
Yeah, so I feel like I kind of briefly mentioned this. Again, I always keep talking about my podcast that I did, but I did mention in there that I did put out a video once when I was in high school that literally told people's names and told what they looked like and what school I went to. And that was definitely my top lesson, is to not use names in videos, but like just like kind of hint at some things, but like don't mention names, you know what I mean? Because you don't want to like have that bad karma come back to you. And then of course with location, like, oh my gosh, Erin, what were you thinking? Because you never know who's listening online. Like, you don't want to just share your location with people just because, you know, it's your YouTube channel or whatever, but you shouldn't do that, because you should protect your own privacy and protect of like where you're from and stuff. So like your safety, I should say. So that was definitely one of my top lessons. Another one was to not influence people to do what you want. I remember when I first started YouTube, I would tell people, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I feel like that's a bad term to use when you're doing an informational video, is you need to. I feel like it should be like, if you would like to, or if you want to. So it's not forcing the person to, have to do that thing. Because everyone can choose what they want to do in their life. Everyone creates their own reality. So, I mean, I can suggest to do things, but I can't just be like, you need to do this. So that's another thing I've learned, is to just like offer it and just give that offer. Because a lot of people, I don't know why, but a lot of people, if they're offered something, I feel like that they tend to go after it more, rather than if somebody is told to do something. Because when we're growing up, like as kids, like we're always told to do this and that by our parents, and when we're older, we just want to do our own thing. And I feel like just having that option of just like, you have this offer, instead of just being like, you need to do this. So that's definitely my second one. And my third one, I would have to say kind of like, don't be, definitely something I've learned in my vlogs and stuff, because I know that Jake can be my boyfriend, he can be very, very outspoken about things, especially when it comes to like politics and stuff like that. In one of our earlier vlogs that we did first together, he like made a lot of jokes and stuff like that. But I mean, it's kind of like refraining from, how do I want to phrase this? Refraining from offending anybody. You know what I mean? Just having like an open mind about things, and not like having it be, one-sided or against like a certain race or a certain like, hobby that somebody's into. Just kind of keeping it open, rather than just kind of, like making fun of somebody for something. You know what I mean? Because you never know who's gonna, again, be triggered by something. So I've talked to Jake about that, and we've changed it a little bit, or we just kind of like make it a joke or whatever. But we try to make it sure that it's a joke, not something serious. So that's definitely another thing that I've personally learned, and also Jake has learned with our vlogs and stuff like that. So it definitely have to be just being open-minded with people, is the third one. The second one was just kind of, I honestly forgot what I said. It was like the being open-minded about things, kind of just, I forgot the other two that I said, but you guys heard it. So that would be my last one, is like what I was saying, of just like being open-minded about things. And then the other things that I said that I obviously can't remember right now for some reason. Yeah.
So for me, like, one would probably be like, just like, see, that's a hard question for me, like,
Yeah.
because I haven't been doing it for that long.
Yeah. Well, if you don't have three, you could just think of one.
Mainly, like you said, like not offending people.
Yeah.
Like being careful with what you say.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not even like you have to like make your content rated G.
Right.
It's just watch what you say.
Yeah.
Be courteous to your fellow human.
Yeah. Oh, I remember the other thing I said was about safety, and just like not giving out your location or names or whatever, like safety of yourself and safety of others.
See,
that was another thing I said.
I wouldn't mind giving out my state, but I would never say what town I live in.
Yeah. Like if you have to say your state, like say if you're like traveling or whatever, or going somewhere, you can be like, I'm in Boston right now. Like that's fine. It's not like where you live. But like say if you're like at home, you can't be like, oh, I live at this address and my house looks like this and I live in this town. Like no. That's like drawing
Then
the
you
line.
get a bunch of haters coming to your house, egging your house.
Yeah. Or like how it used, I remember on Twitch and stuff, people would get like, I forget what it's called, but
They would get swatted.
yeah, that's what it was called. That sort of thing. So being careful of that as well.
See, and with that, like when people were getting swatted, like they weren't even giving out their address or nothing.
Yeah.
What it was hackers, and they would pinpoint their location, and then they would call the local police department there and say, this guy's doing some terrorist activity.
Mhm. Yeah, I
And it's
remember that
like,
happening.
that's not cool.
No, not at all.
But I remember back then, like, if you got swatted, you know you made it.
Yeah.
Because they were only doing it to the major streamers.
Mhm. I mean, I remember
And
they
I'm
did
not
to a couple of
sure.
people that were like semi-popular, just like not fully
Yeah.
popular. But if you weren't popular, you probably weren't swatted. But like if you were like semi or just completely like everyone knew who you were, then you were probably so. But just have that software to not let people get into your system, or else they
Now,
use it.
don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that Ninja got swatted at one point.
Oh,
I don't
really?
know if you. Yeah, I don't know if you know him.
I've heard of I heard of him before. I just don't watch his like YouTube videos and stuff. I have heard of him before.
He actually quit YouTube and Twitch. He went over to Mixer.
Huh. Yeah, I've heard of Mixer
Yeah,
before.
he had a big falling out with Twitch and YouTube,
Hmm.
so he went over to Mixer.
Yeah.
Um. So hang on. You need to wait. Go. I'm in the middle of something. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
So at this point, um, is the point in the show where we pretty much give the guests like 5 minutes to promote their YouTube channels, their social media, all that.
Oh, okay. So let's go down the line here. I have a lot of social media, so feel free to follow me on any of them, kind of like what you're interested in, I guess. You don't have to follow me on everything. But I guess we'll start off with my podcast since you guys are here. So my podcast is Balance Creation. I do like a lot of motivational, inspirational interviews or just like discussions about certain things. So you guys can just, I think you just tap on my face or something. But my podcast is Balance Creation here on Anchor. Feel free to favorite me, and if you would like to be a guest, you can feel free to send me a DM on one of my social medias, or you can send me a voice message because they have that feature on here. Let's see. I also have Instagram. I have 3 Instagrams you could follow me on, but I'm just going to mention a couple because I feel like that would be easier. So you could follow my Star Sketch Art one if you're into artwork, because I am an artist. It's just at Star Sketch Art, sketch with 2 H's. And then I also have my spirituality one, which connects to this podcast that I'm a user on, and it's at Balance Creation 6 at the end. So that has just like a bunch of I basically just update whenever I upload a new video or a podcast. And then I do have a Facebook page for my Star Sketch platform, and it's more or less just like a page where you can buy my art. So if you're interested in purchasing my art or just checking out my artwork in general, you can do that on my Facebook page. It's just called Star Sketch with 2 H's at the end, and you can check out what I'm selling on my shop on the shop tab. And in terms of YouTube, I have 3 YouTube channels. One is called Erin's Life. And I basically just kind of vlog my everyday life, or even when I go on adventures with my boyfriend or my friends or anything like that. So it's more of like a vlog channel. And then I have Star Sketch Art, or just Star Sketch, I should say, and with 2 H's at the end. That's for my, art channel, where I do time lapses, tutorials, and challenges for different art stuff. And then I have Balance Creation, my newest YouTube channel. That's for tarot readings, pick a card readings, everything spirituality, law of attraction. So whatever you're kind of interested in, feel free to follow me. Or if you're interested in all of them and don't want to follow the individual, you can follow my personal Instagram, which is at Erin star66. And I do have a Snapchat, for those of you that want to keep in, like if you, I don't know, want to add me on Snapchat, it's at Star Sketch Art, 2 H's again. A lot of it is Star Sketch, all of my social media platforms, but for the most part, I have Star Sketch and the other two. So yeah, I have a lot of social media, but those are my social media platforms that I like to use, and you guys can feel free to follow me or subscribe.
Okay, so now, like, do you have, like, can you talk about any upcoming projects and all that?
Yeah. So in terms of my podcast, yesterday I put up a new episode with my friend Brittany about relationships, and just Valentine's Day in general, because when this is uploaded, oh, it might be the same day actually, now that I think about it. That this one is uploaded. I have an episode with my friend Brittany going up. And then I also have John here as a guest. The very next day on the 15th, I'll have it at 3. So all of my podcast episodes, by the way, are always live at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So on February 14th, Valentine's Day, that will be with Brittany about relationships. And on the 15th, we'll be with John here, all about basically social media and your mental health. So that should be really exciting to listen to. And then I should have more guests in the future. But I might take a break from guests next week and just do like a discussion with just myself, and then go back to doing a guest or something like that. I'm also working on a workbook. I'm going to be calling it Spring into Action, and that will be on Amazon sometime in April. So I'll be keeping people updated on my social media about that. It's basically kind of like an adult coloring activity book that will motivate you to get your life together. And I wanted to put it out in the spring because of like spring cleaning, you know? And then just like doing my YouTube stuff, you know? I want to eventually like make a website that's for my brand, to have the products and everything kind of linked on there, so then everyone knows where to go. So I can just say, go to this website and you can follow me on all my stuff, kind of a thing. So that's in the process of by the end of this year, that should be a thing. And I want to do tarot card people. So if you would like a tarot card reading, I would love to give you one. Just DM me on my @balancecreation6 Instagram account for those that want to, to get a tarot reading, a personal tarot card reading. For more details, you can message me about that. But other than that, those are like the main projects that I'm working on right now. Especially like expanding my, profits on, my artwork and stuff like that. So, but I'm really excited about the workbook that's going to be published on Amazon this April. So that should be really exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And at this point, we pretty much just say our final thoughts.
So yeah, I mean, with this whole theme about YouTube and podcasts, and we kind of mentioned on my podcast about mental health, it's just remember to balance your life. Like, just kind of figure out a way that you can still do YouTube, still do your podcast, whatever you do creatively, along with your personal life. We always need that me time. We always need that time to take care of ourselves, be around our loved ones, be around friends, be around family, and just overall just take care of ourselves. So just make sure to find that balance between both. And if you are interested in starting a YouTube channel, I would recommend doing it. Don't do it for the money, just do it as a hobby at first, and you will see the numbers grow. And then in terms of a podcast, if you're interested, I would highly recommend Not sponsored, but should be. Maybe you're
Actually, this
sponsored by them.
episode will be sponsored by Anchor.
Oh, awesome. So it is sponsored, but I would highly recommend if you are looking to start a podcast, I would recommend Anchor because it's really, really cool. You can connect with people like John and I are in different states and we're able to be guests on each other's podcast, which is so cool because in other apps you can't do that. And I feel like it'll start to, start a conversation about things and just be able to collaborate with people easier rather than like having to, meet at a place, have microphones, all of that. You can literally just use your phone and it's like an audio call, but like more professional and like in a podcast sort of setting. And I just overall love it. I'm a big fan. So if you're looking to start a podcast, definitely do it on Anchor.
Wow. I need you to record my ad for me.
Yeah, my ad is basically kind of like that, except I kind of like read the script or whatever that they gave. So, yeah.
Wait, they give a script?
Yeah, they did. Yeah. You just like read the script and it'll be like about 30 seconds long or whatever. But yeah, I can show you that after. It's like, yeah.
Because I have an ad recorded right now, and it's like it's very vague.
Yeah. Yeah, the script that they give kind of talks about everything. So I could show you how to get that for you.
So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. That went better than expected.
Yeah. I'm just really good at like talking and stuff. Like I love just talking about things and feeling passionate about it. And just overall, like that's how I feel about my YouTube channels and definitely this podcast. I love this doing podcasts. I just love it.
Yeah. All right, y'all. So I guess that's it for this one.
Are you almost done?
I can't hear him.
So, I don't know if you can hear or not, but apparently Jake is going to get Wilbo around 3, and then we're going to go to the mall. So, thanks y'all for telling me that. I had to find it out through him.